I focus on is helping people to get back to a place of hope. Hope.
The morning show worth talking about. Faith at Work with Yvette Gavin.
Hello and welcome to Faith at Work. Faith at Work is a television broadcast focusing on inspiring and empowering women of faith in the workplace so they can maximize their kingdom influence in the marketplace. I am your host, Yvette Gavin. Have you been feeling that life has passed you by? Have you ever had this thought that it's just too late for you to do and you fill in the blank? If that's you, I want you to stick around today because this day I have a treat for you. I had the opportunity to speak at the Success Women's Conference. And I tell you guys, I had the most amazing time. And today I am going to share with you the message that I gave to over 1,000 women. Stay tuned because you will not want to miss this special treat that we have for you today. Executive presence has nothing to do with skill and talent. Executive presence is the measure of image. Well, it is my pleasure to be here with you today and to share with you some life lessons that I've learned on staying focused, believing for bigger and greater things, and realizing that it's not too late to achieve my goals and my dreams. In hopes that when we finish this talk today, you would be so inspired and so motivated that you will begin to believe bigger and never allow something like age or anything else to be an excuse in your life. But let's start with this. I want you to imagine with me for a moment the emotional and the psychological pain that comes with being told that you can't achieve your goals of being a journalist because of your Black dialect. See, I don't have to imagine because I am that girl at 21 years of old, a sophomore in college, and I was told by my college professor that I would never achieve my career goals of being a journalist because my Southern Black dialect was just too heavy. See, I'm a Southern girl, grew up in a little small town called Greenville, Georgia, where I was a great student at Greenville High School. I did sound like my community. So my journalism teacher said to me, why don't you totally drop the journalism program? And then she suggests that I go into fashion. See, you ladies, you already know this one, right? I was that student who didn't wear the jeans and the t-shirt to class. I came with the high heel shoes. I've always loved fashion. But I've also had a love and a passion to help motivate and inspire people through writing and speaking. And I love the whole profession of journalism. So I am here today to tell you, I did not quit that course as it was recommended. I stayed in the course and I did the hard work and I passed that course. And I landed my first professional job as a newspaper reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I went on to CNN, then the Birmingham News, and later in my career, I blogged for Black Enterprise and the Atlanta Good Life magazine. Yeah. Today, I am leading a successful leadership development training company. And at the age of 60, yep, she said 60, I am the host and the producer of the top-rated TV talk show, Faith at Work with Yvette Gavin. What I can tell you is that at 21, when I got that message from my professor, I actually thought I may never live my dream. But at age 60, I know now that it's never too late to believe and achieve your heart's desire. Have you ever wondered how some people achieve their dreams in the face of setbacks and others don't? Yeah. Have you ever thought about that? What is it that caused one person to be successful and another person to fail? Is it, where they grew up? Is it more about their DNA? What is it, the culture? I've been asked those type questions. And since leaving my corporate job in 2016 and starting my corporate training business, I've been repeatedly asked this particular question. How did you do it? How did you do it, Yvette? How did you leave such a successful career and start your own business? I'll tell you, it wasn't necessarily easy leaving a high six-figure corporate job where I had finally built a career where I was on the executive level. It wasn't easy, but there was always this pull for my vision. And all the success I had, I still long to actually be doing what I'm doing today, coaching and helping others achieve their goals. So the question, when I'm asked, how did you do it, is often followed up with a self-confession, as I refer to it. And that self-confession sounds similar to this. I'll hear people saying, well, I want to pursue my dreams, but I don't have the money to do it. Then when I ask the person, well, actually, how much does it cost for you to start pursuing your dream? And not once, and I cannot make this up, not once in the many times I have asked a person that, did they have an answer? They hadn't even done the research to understand what it really costs to really start pursuing their dream. They were standing still, feeling incomplete, using what I refer to as excuses to hold themselves back. What about this one? I often hear this one. I am too old, Yvette, to achieve my dreams. It's too late for me to do it now. My ship has sailed. The time has passed. And my reply to all of that is, this is my favorite one, guys. I always say, did you know that Nelson Mandela, you know him, right? Nelson Mandela was 76 years old when he became his country's president, after he had already spent 27 years in jail. Yeah. Harlan Sanders of KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, you guys know that one. He was 62 when he first franchised his business. And I don't know about you guys, but I love myself some Gayle King of CBS This Morning Show. My beloved Gayle King was 57 years old. 57 years old when she became the co-host of CBS This Morning. What's really stopping you from pursuing your dreams? Has someone told you that you can't do it? Has someone told you that you are not sufficient, that you weren't enough, that you needed more to complete or even to start the pathway to your dreams? Is it that you don't have the money? Or is it, guys, really fear that it's too late for you to be successful? Now, I want you to keep in mind, I know many of you have heard this, and I want to remind you that fear is what? Simply, fear is false evidence appearing to be real. It's not really real, guys. Just like when I have coaching clients that say to me, I really want to do X, Y, and Z, but I don't have the money. The thought of not having is just a part of their fear that's preventing them from moving forward. It's not that they don't have the money. They don't have that self-esteem in that moment in time to move forward. I want you to do this with me. I want you to complete this sentence. I would pursue my dreams if. I want you to fill in that blank. I would pursue my dreams if. Fill in the blank. What is in your blank? What is it for you? The blank could be filled with 1,001 excuses, but at the end of the day, they are just that. They are excuses. What I've learned is that the fulfillment of a dream requires intentionality. I'm going to say that again. To fulfill your dream, you're going to have to be intentional about achieving them. They don't just come by the fly of our pants. You got to be intentional. You got to be intentional about applying your faith. It's not too late to believe again. And that's what this conference is all about. It's encouraging you, inspiring you, and reminding you to believe. Believe again. It's not too late for your dream or dreams to be fulfilled. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I could say a lot of little cute little slogans and little words, but here's the truth. All those things can get us motivated, but after this conference, I want you to have some meat and some potato that's going to stick with you so you can move forward and achieve your dream. So you can move your belief into believing, to doing, to achieving. And that's going to require effort on your part. After all, the wisest person who've ever been on this earth said, faith without works is dead. So guys, I want to share with you now 3 C's of achieving your dreams. This is the meat and potato I want you to walk away with from this talk. I want to share with you 3 key principles that I have applied in my own life to achieve the success that I am living today. The first C is commitment to growth. Commitment to growth. See, I noticed that too often people underestimate the unimportance of nearly everything in their lives. I decided personally to stop and reflect on why I wasn't where I wanted to be in my life. That's something that I do at the end of every year. But then I started, when I got real serious about moving forward, I started doing it, not just once a year. I went to the end of every 3 months and I started evaluating things in my life. And then I moved it down to where today I actually do it every single month. I stop before the new month began and I start reflecting on what happened in the current month. What do I need to shift? Where do I need to change? And I stop, think, and I listen. I listen to that inner voice. In doing so, I've realized how I had allowed in my past negative and unfair situations, even people, to cripple my view of myself. Now, I know none of you have done that, but I did. And so getting to that place of being intentional and focusing on what was happening in my life, I began to see these things. Now, I took full responsibility for those unproductive state of thoughts that I had. I made a conscious decision to be intentional about growing, moving forward. And that's what I want for you. I decided to no longer look at those little disappointing situations or the setbacks as setbacks, but I began to realize that everything, good and bad, positive and negative, had a message for me. They became my teachers. And that's how I started growing, because I became intentional about learning from every situation in my life. So I look for the life lessons in my everyday living. And then I began to build upon those learnings. I didn't just look at them and say, oh, this happened and I should have done something different. Then I start looking at what would I do differently? Or what can I do differently if I face the same situation? What can I do differently to avoid this situation? That type of mindset helped me to move from being angry and blaming other people for my situation. It was no more of, if my father had not been the type father he was, somewhat abusive toward my mother, I would have found my voice earlier in life and would have known how to speak up. I had to stop blaming all those bosses and employees who failed to really understand my value and start overlooking me for promotions. I stopped blaming other people for my state of living, and I moved into a place of forgiving and loving. I forgave myself for even allowing those things to hold me back. And then I forgave those who I attribute those setbacks to, and I began to love them. But I first start by loving myself. So number 2, guys, is create the plan of the 3 C's. Number 1 was commit to grow. That's being intentional about your growth and learning from your life experiences. And number 2 is to create the plan. So you already know this one, but I'm not, and I'll just tell you, a neuroscientist. But I know that there is something powerful that happens when we put intentions on paper. Now, there's some buzz going around today about whether to set goals or not to set goals and the overall effectiveness of setting goals. For me, I push all that noise aside because I know personally that writing goals on paper and then defining those measurements and then setting a timeline for those goals have worked extremely well for me. But I don't just write lofty goals, pie in the sky kind of goals. I align my short terms and I write long-term goals for my overall vision. And one of the things I use with my coaching clients is a tool that I created for myself like years ago, that has been very effective. I would love to share that with you free. Just write me an email at yvettegavin.com, and I will share with you our vision plan where we teach you how to map out short-term and long-term goals. But as an example, I'll give you an example of what I mean. If you have a long-term vision and you haven't achieved it yet, I had that. I wanted to leave my corporate job and start my own business. I knew one day that I would be in front of a TV camera, promoting and helping and inspiring people in some way. And today I'm doing both. But I had to start somewhere. And what I did first was I wrote the vision down. Where did I see myself in the next 5, 10, 20 years? And then I moved back and I started looking at, when I say move back, I'm working within this template that I've mentioned to you already. And I started writing down what it was going to take. I interviewed people who were already doing what I desired to do. And I learned some things in that process. I understood the effort it was going to be to start a training company, bringing on resources, getting people to trust me to coach them who didn't know me. I started understanding what the education requirements was going to be standing before you right here today. The certifications, what that cost was going to be to me. And there's always a financial cost, but then there's also what I refer to as a personal cost. Because I'm married, I am a mother, I am a grandmother, I am a sister, I am all those things that many of you are. And as we move toward our dreams, there are tangible and intangible costs to achieve those dreams. And I started calculating that cost. How do I work better with my husband as I'm moving forward with yet my second degree? So I can be that strong, leader that I desire to be. I began to map all of that out across a 2-year plan. And then I reached out to those who were very close to me, like my husband and my children and my parents, as well as my siblings. And I asked for their support, letting them know I may miss some family gatherings over the next 2 years. I may not be able to go out on a date night every single Friday with my husband, but I wanted him to know that I was there for him because I had to study some Friday nights. So we found a schedule to balance those things out. Sharing just some examples and hope that they will help you. My final C for moving toward your goals and achieving your dreams is continuous movement. Now remember, that first C is be committed to growth. That second one was to create a plan, and I want you to start that plan with a vision and then mapping out goals, smart goals to get you there. And this third and final one is continuous movement. See, I have a confession too. My confession is this. I struggled early in my career and even in my business with that thing called perfection. Know anybody that have that problem? See, that perfection gap or the fear of making a mistake has been the number one thing to cause me to stop pursuing my dreams. For sure, friends and family and foes were quick to point out my mistakes when I made them, or so it appeared to me. And when they would point them out at first, I didn't know the first lesson I taught you today. I didn't know how to take that feedback as lesson learned and build up on it and grow. But what I know for sure now is that I will continue to make mistakes, even though I'm very good at what I do. But I will continue to make mistakes, and everything I do will not be perfect all the time. But where I will always strive for excellence, and I do, and I always put my best foot forward. I no longer look at a mistake as a failure. You know where I'm going, right? I see my mistakes now as life lessons, and I see them as a sign that I am indeed moving. I'm moving in the right direction. You know, author and professor Warren Benny said, "A mistake is simply another way of doing things." Guys, trust me on this one. If you wait for perfection before moving forward, you may never move. You may never get anything done. The key here is to keep moving forward by growing and getting better, even in the face of imperfection. I have a very dear friend who's very dear to my heart. And for about 20 years, she's been writing a book. Honestly, she's been writing a book of some sorts. But she hasn't published that book yet. And she, in her own words, have admitted that this is her main problem, is that fear of rejection if there's one typo, one subject verb that didn't quite agree. I don't want that to be you. Because if you never start, you never learn, you never grow. So I've learned to become comfortable in those awkward moments of making a mistake. I move quickly to correct the mistake, and I keep moving forward. You got to start. And that is that motion, that movement. So guys, as I'm coming to a close, I want you to know this, that when you act upon these 3 C's of achieving your dream, I know that you will realize that it is not too late for you to be successful. In fact, I want you to say this with me. Repeat this after me. I know that it is not too late to start. I want you to say this again with me. It is not too late. This time, I want you to say it with me, not after me. One more last time. It is not too late for me. It's not too late for you. If you get nothing else from this conference, and I know there are some amazing, dynamic speakers here today. I know that this whole entire week. But I want you to walk away knowing that you too can achieve your goals, like each and every speaker that you've listened to this week. Yeah, I believe in you. And if you said, with me, it's not too late, I want to offer you a free copy of my book. My latest book just came out last month. This is Faith at Work. Remember, faith must have some action. Otherwise, without it, it's dead. I invited 7 of my close girlfriends to help me write this book. And each one shares in this leadership devotional their own faith walk story in achieving their goals, their dreams. They talk about their setbacks and how they overcame them by putting action to their faith. And what is believing? Believing is just that. Believing is faith. You cannot have faith without some form of material belief. So guys, if you would like a free copy, just send me an email at Yvette, and I spell Yvette with a Y, Y-V-E-T-T-E at YvetteGavin.com. And I will ship to you free of cost a copy of our latest book, Faith at Work, Leadership Devotional. Well, it has been my pleasure to share with you my thoughts on It's Not Too Late. At 60, I am living my best life. And I am hosting a television show that I dreamt of like 20 years ago. And in 2 months of our airing, Faith at Work with Yvette Gavin became one of the top-rated shows on PTWWN. I am so grateful for that. Within 2 years of starting my business, I landed a major client, a major federal government client. And to this day, I am still delivering training to them. And I am amazed and humbled that in each and every encounter, we're getting 100% satisfaction rates. Over 78% of our students are saying on surveys that my vendor sends out, I don't even send these out, she just shared them with me later, that they're extremely satisfied. I'm living the dream, and I want you to live your dreams. Until next time, I am your girl, Yvette Gavin.
So, what are people really saying about Yvette Gavin Consulting?
Yvette has been outstanding. It's great to have you. I've enjoyed, the quality of your work. I can tell you serve your clients well.
Training, coaching, leadership program development, keynote speaker.
I decided to no longer look at those little disappointing situations or the setbacks as setbacks, but I began to realize that everything, good and bad, positive and negative, had a message for me.
To find out more about Yvette Gavin Consulting or to book Yvette for your next event, please call us at 424-262-2462. You can email us at Yvette@YvetteGavin.com, and you can also visit our website at YvetteGavin.com.
If I wanted to help my colleagues, I'd call up Yvette Gavin.